guys, how's it going? For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sandra, owner and art coach at Open Heart Creations. I wanted to start this video by thanking all of you so much for your feedback on my last video. Your input really inspires and motivates me, and I'm always grateful. As a creator, there are times when you lose inspiration, motivation, and confidence. This can be a really discouraging place to find yourself. For me, it looked like isolation from my art. I didn't touch it, I didn't talk about it, and I didn't show it to anyone. It took me a while, but I finally figured out how to break out of an artistic block, stay inspired and rejuvenated, continuously stoke the creative flame, and build confidence in myself and my artwork. The solution? Getting back to the fundamentals, drawing skills, and community. In the last video, I talked about why drawing skills are an important fundamental to creating strong visual art. I also showed you how simple drawing can be with one easy concept. If you can write an L, S, O, and a period, you can draw. If you missed my last video, make sure to go watch it so you can discover how to use this simple, awesome trick for yourself. Just scroll down, the link is in the description. Right now, I want to talk to you about something different, but just as fundamental to your creative growth: community. The most impactful part of having an artistic community is having people around you who speak the same visual language. Artistic community offers the space to brainstorm, ask questions, resource techniques, get constructive critique, gain inspiration, as well as receive encouragement and support. All of this sounds pretty good, right? Well, maybe except for the critique part. I usually see one of two different reactions when it comes to critique. The first is a person who's very open and always looking for input, desperately posting on forums and social media for any kind of input to make them a stronger artist. The second is the person who stashes all their work away from the world and claims that they don't care what anyone else thinks because they make their artwork for themselves. Side note, I want to see your art. Critique is not about approval or if a piece of artwork is good or bad. Critique is about discovering if and how a piece of artwork communicates the artist's concept with the viewer. When you work on a piece for a while and you know what you're trying to create, you end up too close to the work. Sharing your work with others allows you to observe how others perceive your work and if they're getting the message you're trying to share. I have a couple quick tricks for a different perspective while you're working. You can take 10 steps back or take a picture on your phone to see how well a piece reads small and what stands out and what disappears. The benefit of having artistic community, on top of exploring the clarity of your visual communication, is getting the feedback of possible techniques or solutions to achieve a successful piece. Other people think differently, and they often see things differently too, and their perspective and ideas can inspire you. Being able to give and receive critique allows you to grow and explore new creative possibilities. I don't mean, it's nice, I like it, I like the color, or
I hate it, it sucks, I don't even get it.
I mean considered, thoughtful, constructive critique. This kind of critique comes from an understanding of the principles and elements of design that allow you to more accurately describe what is happening in a piece of artwork. When you discuss and observe the principles and elements of design, you learn different ways you can use them to enhance your artwork. Don't worry, the principles and elements of design might sound like a lot to learn, but they're actually fairly simple things, like line, balance, color, or movement. Principles are concepts of good design, and elements are the tools that help us distinguish components in a work. Let me show you how easy it can be to identify and use the principles and elements of design. Okay, so let's start with line. In line, there's a couple of different ways we talk about it. We talk about width, direction, curve, and length. So, line can have width. A line can have direction. line can have curve. We can also refer to the length. So next we'll talk about color. Color is the reflection of the wavelength that's bounced back from whatever you're looking at, right? And there's a couple different ways that we talk about color. The first way that we talk about color is the hue. When we talk about hue, what we're referring to is basically the defining name of our color, right? We're talking about green, blue, yellow, red, orange. You know, so your general names that you think of when you think of colors, that's what we refer to as the hue. So we can talk about the colors in between colors in reference to their hue. If we have a color like this, for example, and we're trying to describe how that color feels or which color it's closest to, we can kind of compare. I would say this teal is on the bluer side of a green. The next thing we talk about with color is saturation or intensity. How bright and vivid something is, or how lighter, softer, more pale it is. So something can be very, very intense. Obviously, a really rich, bright, vibrant pink. It can have a medium intensity. Or it can be really pale and desaturated. The last thing we talk about with color is the value, how light or dark something is. So black, obviously the darkest color, has a very, very dark value. This medium gray is on the darker end of the value range. And our lighter gray is getting to the white side of our value range. The next thing I want to talk about is balance. Balance refers to how the elements of design are playing with each other and how they're interacting in a piece. So, with balance, it refers to a lot of different things. It can refer to whether there's an even amount of light and dark space. Balance can refer to the play of objects within a space. If they're even, symmetrical, or uneven, asymmetrical. That kind of looks like a dice. Not a dice. A domino. We refer to balance when we are discussing the visual weight within a piece of artwork. So, let's say in this image, this feels pretty balanced. We have light and dark on both sides. But then let's say this one, this feels much more unbalanced. We have a much more visual weight on this side and not nearly as much on this side. And next we'll talk about movement. Movement is the impression of action or something in progress happening, or elements that guide the viewer's eye through a piece of work. A really good trick for applying movement to your own work is using things that lean either forwards or backwards, right? So if I lean this way, it feels like it's moving forward, right? If I lean a line this way, it feels like it's moving backwards. You can also create a flow throughout your piece by using lines with a lot of curvature. You can create a lot of character and fluidity and movement through the eye and through the piece by playing with these different angles and curves within your line work. So a really simple description is like, let's do a little guy. He is running his heart out. So if we want him to look like he's moving quickly, we can use our lines. If we give it a little bit of an angle, it gives it a little more action. But then these quick dashes look like, whoosh, we missed something. There's something trailing after him. One of the bonuses in my upcoming course, Art on Purpose, Drawing, Technique, and Critique, is a PDF with examples and explanations for all the principles and elements of design. I want to share with you how feedback and critique has personally affected some of my dear friends and colleagues in their artistic growth and confidence. Katie Getz, photographer, printmaker, art teacher, and my co-conspirator in Open Heart Creations, shared, "One night before an art show, I was completely down on my work, and I didn't feel my prints were worth hanging on a wall. The mats I had were too small for what I had been working on, and I didn't see the point of them anyway. I started ripping my prints, then immediately regretted my choice. Failure. All my hard work was ruined by my insecurities and desperation. I called Sandra, told her my dilemma, and she came right over. Before I could concede, she picked up a piece and said, 'Cool! The marks you created in this are so beautiful and raw. Look at the details. You don't even need the entire image to appreciate what you've done.' Taking another look, a closer look, I started to see what she meant. There was beauty there, and I had made it. I was just so blinded on my own and needed another pair of eyes to get perspective. I was an artist again. Her feedback was so crucial in my process and exactly what I needed. I sold 3 prints that night, thanks to my girl Sandra." Earl Bryant is a passionate action photographer, sick nasty rollerblader, world traveler, and staff sergeant serving in the Army for 9 years. He shared this.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Earl Bryant. I'm a photographer, probably known as a sports photographer, primarily rollerblading, skateboarding, BMXing at your local neighborhood skate park. I've always had an interest in photography, but I've also always had an interest in rollerblading. And then once I moved to Savannah, I had an even further interest in art. I had the privilege of meeting the Lincoln Street Kids, which happened to be Dustin Hamill, Robbie Silcox, and Sandra. Yes, Sandra, right? So feisty, loud, very noticeable person, very noticeable person, but very kind, loving, and has an opinion and a drive to do everything. I'm talking about keeping people organized, bringing people together, and motivating people to do better than what they're already doing. I can't say how much it's important to be around people who spur you to get up in the morning and do what you really love to do. You know, don't let the chaos of everyday life come at you. You know, something that I think Sandra really focused on and taught me, aside from going beyond my normal photography, but she taught me the importance of having your art family and your art circle. Sandra played a very big, important role in my art, because you know, like when you have this path, this very narrow path you normally go, it's kind of hard to see because you have blinkers on, or like, you know, blockers on, like you're a horse. She essentially ripped that off. You know, I went out to art events with her when she's directly involved with me and reviewing photos that I've done with the group. And I gotta tell you, like, she gave me some awesome pointers that help me take better group photography. Taking pictures of your friends, just doing what they're doing, having fun, and then being looked at like, whoa, these are really good, and you take them in the processes, and you make it better. You know, she helped with that tremendously. Pointers with colors, you know, pointers with different, better angles to understand what you want to capture in the whole situation, for more artistic, creative way of doing things. And you know, it takes a certain crowd to be able to pull that off. When you want to be guided a certain way, you need certain people to guide you, or you know you can get proper information from proper people. You know, it helps a lot in your art, and I think Sandra played a key role in that for me. I know she played a great role furthering my motivation, you know, because things didn't stop just because people were moving away. So I really do appreciate that.
It's been so awesome nerding out about art with you. I'm happy to get to share some tips and ideas. I've been so grateful to hear how they've helped you. That's why I've designed a training program, Art on Purpose, Drawing Technique and Critique, to take you on a deep dive of drawing skills, brainstorming and development process, art language, and constructive critique. At the end of the course, you will have gone completely through a repeatable development process that results in a completed piece of visual art you can feel proud of. The course will open the 3rd week of February with live video calls once a week for 8 weeks. However, enrollment opens now. I'm really excited to get this course off the ground and get it rolling. So for this round only, I'm offering introductory pricing. This will be an intimate deep dive with limited space, so you will want to get registered right away to reserve your spot. Register right now by scrolling down and clicking the link for Art on Purpose, Drawing Technique and Critique. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'm excited to work with you and see what you create in my Art on Purpose, Drawing Technique and Critique course. Stay creative, my friends.